Aloha, everybody. It's May 27th, 2020. Welcome to another edition of The Mind of Marlin and my treetop talks here in the treetop of the Monkey Pod. It's 8:30 in the morning. The ducks have been fed. The chickens have been fed. Now it's time to feed your head, as the Dormouse said. Today's talk is about planetary consciousness. I call it 1 billion sacred acts. We talk about planetary consciousness shifting, or some of us do, and the world is such a big place. How is that going to happen? Yet the internet has connected us in ways that have never happened before in the history of humanity, which is a good thing. But there's also a bad thing, because with every good, there's a bad. Or as I like to say, if there's two sides to everything, how come everybody's on edge? In a house of worship, the person at the front of the room says, "Let us bow our heads and pray." Ever wonder why we have to bow our heads? I think it was because bowing showed respect going back to our days when we still walked around on all fours. The act of supplicating oneself in front of another is the act of giving in, giving up, surrendering. With our heads down like this, the dominant animal or humanid had access to our exposed neck, and we were vulnerable to the killing blow. Many of us, or some of us, are familiar with the term namaste, which is a form of salutation in Hindu culture and throughout Southeast Asia and Japan. We put our hands together and bow, which may be a sign of things to come, as shaking hands is not a form of social distancing and a great way to spread germs. And after all, we don't really know where that hand has been, do we? Without being in church or even praying, we are all walking around with our heads bowed. Not in the act of prayer, but in the act of being on one's mobile device. People walking down the street with their heads bowed. People at the table with their heads bowed. People in an elevator with their heads bowed. On the couch, on the toilet, in the car, we are a world bowing to a rectangular device held in our hands. What do you think would happen if every single human that bowed to the mobile device took 3 seconds to be grateful for anything in that moment? Could planetary consciousness shift? I think so. Every minute of every day, there are billions of people bowing their heads in what could be seen as an act of prayer. So, what is so radical about making it a mandatory application that is installed on every single mobile device, phone, whatever you want to call it, regardless of the make, model, or manufacturer? That to access the cellular network and the internet, that first a prayer or affirmation or something just kind is spoken aloud. It would go something like this. I turn on my phone, and on the home screen appears the words, "The world is becoming a better place for everybody and everything in it." And then I have to say out loud, "The world is becoming a better place for everybody and everything in it." And then I have access to the ocean of humanity that is waiting. These days, our devices can hear us and they answer us, so the technology is already there. Imagine 1 billion people around the globe saying out loud, "The world is becoming a better place for everybody and everything in it." Planetary consciousness would shift. Now, we pay a monetary toll when we cross a bridge and we never question it. We pay a sales tax when we buy something and accept that that's just the way things are. We pay for the registration on our automobile because it goes to pay for the infrastructure that we use the automobile on. We are paying for the right to use things. Are we ready as a species to pay with our intention for a better world to use our mobile devices? Can we swallow whatever resistance we might have around saying something positive to access the internet or communicate with our friends and followers? For the people who are Catholic, the Pope could be enrolled to write a prayer for his followers. And for the people who are Buddhist, the Dalai Lama could be enrolled to write a blessing for his followers, and so on. Or just simply some generic secular term, like "the world is becoming a better place for everybody and everything in it." For once, the toll costs nothing, but saying a few words that uplifts one life and possibly the lives of others. Sure, some people will complain because people always complain and say, "You can't force me to do that." But who says people have the right to use the phone or the internet? You only have the right because you pay for the right. Unless you go to the library and use one of their free computers. Perhaps it is time to finally learn that there are some things that don't cost money, but are priceless nevertheless. A shift in our planetary consciousness to a more compassionate, loving, peaceful, and kind planet is one such thing. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, the only thing that we all need to move towards, even if it is kicking and screaming, is this. However, would it be a whole lot more fun if we could do it dancing and singing? Then again, some people's dancing and singing looks and sounds like kicking and screaming. I've spoken my idea into the world, and may all of the magic and synchronicity of the universe come into play so such a thing can happen. Namaste. No mistake. Aloha. And please, if you've enjoyed this, subscribe. We love you.